together.
I'm a little worried because we were all wrong last time, but this is a different match. Two maybe a little bit more known quantities. We know how they match up. But I actually think any given day with these top two teams.
All right, well, let's hear it from our casters again. Mitch and Matt, are you doubting our prediction for this one?
No, not in terms of team. I actually thought that this would probably be a little bit more lopsided, not all
Really?
3-2s for the Outlaws. Yeah, I actually thought if you were gonna, me and Jake,
Wait, are you still
we
on
bleed
the
green,
Boston
Jake, me and you.
narrative?
I'm an honorary Outlaw. No, I actually thought that you guys would probably say Outlaws like 3-0 or 3-1. Realistically, I thought if somebody was gonna pick like a upset or a close game, it would have been like our first series of the day, not this one.
Yeah, look, I don't blame you for saying that. I think that like coming into a tournament like this, right, we're feeling like the Houston
So he's grilling me. I don't know what happened.
No, what'd you say?
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I just hear this echo in the room, you know what I mean? Well, we'll check back in with the bar.
Nah, she didn't say anything. She's just trying to make me make weird faces at me. Her and Danny been doing it all day.
Yeah, we're out here to make our life hard for one another, ladies and gentlemen. But welcome back, of course. We have the Boston Uprising and the Houston Outlaws going head-to-head on stage here. So we're renewing a rivalry that's played out pretty extensively already in the Western region. Pretty hard to say that the Outlaws would be unfavored in this kind of head-to-head, but Boston have looked against some really tough opposition, very, very solid. Smurf is showing us, honestly, a bit of depth to that hero pool, right? This isn't just a Winston dive team. The Outlaws is what we've definitely seen Fearless show us that they can also rock in the rush if they have to.
And I believe, like, Houston obviously comes in here, I know the number 3 overall seed, but I thought there was a chance, obviously they played the Atlanta Reign really early on, that they could have been the number 1 seed. Like, I think they're that good, where I think you look at them against a team like the Boston Uprising, I think Boston, they can, like, rise to the occasion, but I don't know if I put them in the same tier. I was a bit surprised that they all had 3-2.
How do you feel about the Doomfist here against the rush setup? It's something I thought that Hangzhou might have tried.
We thought about it. Maybe Hangzhou was going to try it. It's like a different kind of like variation of playing, obviously, like a Winston-based composition. Maybe you feel the Doom has a little bit better survivability. All right,
Triple Bionade connection there from Mizuyaki. Pressure on the back line for the Outlaws, but the front line, really not too bothered at all. Pelican, sends Birdring packing.
Yeah, if I had a score prediction, so what? I actually thought that Hangzhou would win that last one 3-2. We were talking about it. I think this is like 3-0, 3-1 Outlaws. Like, I think Boston actually, like, could get an upset, but I think a lot would have to go their way, at least in my opinion. That's kind of where I thought things are coming.
He's looking very well drilled here. Both teams, like I said, calling themselves old? I don't know what that is
They
about.
kind of are, though. Like how Johnny was like showing all the stats. These are two teams full of like players with so much history.
Distinguished and veteran competitors, but
that's because you're getting scared about being labeled as old.
You're older than me.
What do you want to be?
Slow that gabber for just a moment.
Distinguished caster? You're just old.
I'll be distinguished. You be extinguished. You keep that up, man. Smurf here trying to back up. Hacks briefly. The Outlaws doing a very good job of taking space and making it a pretty hard map for Smurf to really set up. I kind of dive. We're at 50% already.
And Happy's got this EMP. He's just going to blow Lee Chae-Gon up. Nothing he could do about that.
But that's emblematic, I think, of what we expected the Outlaws to sort of look like coming out of the gates here. They have the base set up, but Decay's always going to be a problem. They give him the Nano. They're trying and give him a championship. First the Nano, we'll talk about the second part later on. So far, those so good. He is cleaning up.
Yeah, so you get the Nano on to Decay. He actually starts to pop off a little bit on the point. You actually saw some of Smurf's survivability. Able to use a Meteor Strike, stay alive for a little bit there on the point.
Hello there.
But when Smurf goes in, right, you're going to have, like, obviously the Brig to bash the sleeps. You're also going to have that field from Ramatra, right, that can just, like, slow and just, like, prevent the Doom from just being as mobile.
The timing there, not great yet. Smurf's on the back foot, just as Birdring's being chased down and hacked by Happy. He's able to complete the kill here. No Sombra to work with for Boston for quite some time, in fact. So it's going to be an easy recap, and they can chase Smurf down. Release the rest of his team here. There's some stagger potential in these next few moments.
Oh, Blizzard comes out. They're trying to go deep for these kills. Yeah, that Blizzard from downtown there from Pelican doesn't get anything.
I mean, getting a big stagger there could end the round, but it's a massive investment of the Blizzard to try and secure that against a team that's keeping you at arm's length as they are on the back foot there. So, yeah, that one is wasted, to be fair. EMP comes out here, shoot instantly, blown to smithereens. The follow-up for the Boston Uprising is good. The they're spending EMPs here just to play the game. They really want to start to build some steam.
You're okay with this though if you're the Outlaws, right? 97% one fight territory. Yeah, Pelican now go over to Tracer because you think you have a nano, obviously, that you can use on Fearless with the Annihilation. Maybe you farm up an EMP here, you follow that up with that damage from the Tracer, just collapse on a support, and you win the round.
Boston actually have more final blows than the Outlaws do at the moment, oddly enough. Boston are getting a player picked and
Happy
then
knows. Yeah, look at this. He destroyed Furthering's Translocator and just kind of like shot in the direction he knew where he's going.
Whew. Decay living dangerously there. Able to get back to the health pack just in time, but this is slowing things down for Boston. It splits them up. Decay returns with a vengeance. Into the Annihilation though, and very quickly Smurf says, beam me up. I do not want to be here. Lee Jae-gon doesn't have a choice though. Fearless, he's out of Annihilation now. Out of Nemesis form as well. The pressure's starting to mount for the Boston Uprising gang, and they do have this rally in play. Fearless trying to protect him and Violet as they back sheepishly off the point.
Yeah, they forced the Nano here out of Boston, and then Shu obviously still has his Nano, ended up dropping early. So you get them to use Rally and Nano, you come back with EMP Nano of your own.
Oh, okay. Smurf able to get the kill on Happy there. That's big.
Yeah, that's huge.
The Outlaws thought they might have built a window here to get back onto the point, but now they're being staggered out. This is coming down to one fight.
Yeah, I mean, still, I think you do have a huge advantage here if you're the Outlaws, right? You have this Nano that you can put on the Fearless, you can put on a Pelican, right? Put onto the Tracer, use that EMP, and then just have him just blow up a target or two.
Decay thought he could get away, but EMP is going to catch him. It's an insta-kill for Pelican. To the point, though, that's where the Outlaws need to be here. Pulse Bomb, no connection. Lee Jae-gon is going to be able to deftly shield bash away from it. Now Pelican has to play from outside of flail range here. They can't push into Lee Jae-gon. This is buying time for the Boston Uprising to get their reinforcements back into the fight. Fearless being slept is only going to exacerbate the time pressure on Houston here, but they get rid of Smurf. Violet's able to take the fight to the Doomfist, but here's Decay with a stick. The stun, Decay wasn't quite hacked. He was able to get away at least from that, so he's able to play around this fight. Pelican will run him down, and the Outlaws flip it in the final moments.
Yeah, nobody able to touch the point there towards the end as that got a little bit closer. Decay was making plays for the back line. They were just never able to deal with Fearless and Pelican as Boston battled back from a pretty disadvantageous position there. Was able to make that one a game here towards the end. Now, let's take a look here.
It's the start of the round.
Yeah.
May obviously only getting stronger on live right now, but look at these connections. Bye.
Whew. I mean, Smurf's life is not fun there. I mean, hacked, slowed, hacked again. I mean, it is brutal as looks like Boston potentially going to change things up here. Looks like Ramatra-based composition, Decay on the Reaper. Yeah, so we actually saw the Florida Mayhem play a lot of this in our previous series.
Yeah, I like the variation. It's pretty scary stuff for a Winston to deal with here, but this is the Outlaws in their element, on their preferred composition. Can they work around the rush here from Boston? Smurf takes the high ground as you'd expect here. Fearless obviously not opting to vie for control up there at this time. Happy be circling. Oh, spots the Sombra there. Lee Jae-gon's already gone down. Birdring also, I think, got lit much earlier than he would have liked.
Yeah, and this time the Outlaws, they have Pelican on the Sombra, right? So Happy on the Tracer, Pelican on the Sombra. Pelican, it goes into the back line, able to just take out the Lucio pretty much instantly.
Looks like a solo kill, Matt.
Yeah, a hack that he just follows up. Now he's got some more hacks that he's following up here. As Dive is still strong, regardless of what you see on the other side.
Yeah, Happy and Pelican. It's crazy, you can mix these two up into different roles. Sombra, Tracer, it doesn't matter who's on what. The Outlaws have this element of flexibility that's tough to match.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you put Pelican on what you feel like he can be the most hard carry on, and Happy kind of fills in the gaps.
Funny, we're talking about a player who used to be called on to hard carry in many situations himself was Happy. Pretty hard to argue about the strength of both DPS lines here. Fearless Hackman inside the bubble, safe enough. It's going to be Happy accosting Decay, who doesn't really seem to be bothered. Still an Outlaws point for the time being, though. Looking for Birdering to build that EMP, but he's quite far behind here. Pelican's been doing work in the early stages of this round. Sleep Dart there, just thrown into the mix by Ziak here. If I have to guess, it's going to be Fearless striking first. Nano for the Winston, a scary combo, and Fearless is at the helm. With Smurf down now, the Uprising have no way in.
The Nano on the Fearless, and then it was comboed with the Biotic Grenade that hits on the Lee Jae-gon. He's not able to defend himself, so the Outlaws going to get up above 70% here. Just Rally Primal, so For the Outlaws, you're probably looking at this fight like, obviously winning it would be ideal, but maybe just using some of these ultimates and just stall out, right?
Oi, that's not good. He got one clipped.
Happy just shakes his hand out.
Oh dear. No chance to respond to that. No chance to translocate away. That is just massive. Birdring still hasn't built an EMP yet this round. He might get one for the last fight, but it might be too late by then. Lee J is in deep trouble. They're ignoring the guy. He gets healed up for a time, at least by Izayaki, but Fearless is putting the pressure on now. DK is able to win the 1v1 elsewhere, though, drops to the point. Starts to tear strips off of that brick shield here. Then elsewhere, Smurf is fallen. DK is going to be called on again, maybe to do some real heavy lifting here, but he gets stunned up by Violet in rally. The EMP, it is late, but not too late. Enough to at least give the Uprising a foothold in this fight. Birdring got nanoed. Rally now has to come out here on a great biotic grenade connection from Izayaki.
So the point will flip as 99 for the Outlaws here. And I feel like if you're the Outlaws, you're still in a pretty strong spot, right? That's kind of what you were going for. Get to 99, force some ultimates out of the other side, and you really got the big ones out. Nano, your Rally, and your EMP. You think at this point, right, Pelican can farm up this EMP rather quickly, and maybe you just come back with that and win.
Time is on your side for Houston. Look at that, Shu staying alive there. Nicely done by Violet to keep topped up. Still a lot of action here though. Smurf with the Primal Rage looking to juggle Shu in the corner, but can't quite get to grips with him here. He's going to be forced to return empty-handed to the point now. Izayaki was hacked briefly, but Pelican's getting out. He's building that EMP though.
Oh, and Smurf gets with a biotic grenade. He gets really low. They're able to deal with Shu, but the Nano gets off on a Fearless.
Yeah, Fearless Nano looking to build again to another Primal, but may not need it here. Smurf out of the picture is a sorry sign for the Boston Uprising. Indicate again is going to have to do it. Birdring almost hacked. He had to translocate away from the point there, and he and Decay will link up for one more fight.
Oh, they know exactly where he is.
They caught him. He had to get out. Here comes the Doomfist. Smurf hacked instantly. Not a fun situation for the Doom, and Birdring is taken down again. Happy is far from done.
Dude, how many times have we seen is nobody going to be able to touch there for the Uprising? From Happy's POV, able to just get rid of like the translocator of Birdring, or like being able to like track him, find him with his cloak, and not allow the Sombra to get big value.
Pelican ends the round. 9 final blows, 4 deaths. Happy causing his own slew of problems on the Tracer, and Violet has a big kill contribution as well. 5 final blows for Violet.
I also expect, part when we talk like prediction, and maybe why I was a little bit shocked, I expect this Outlaws team to level up in person. Like, they've all performed, like, in big games, like, they've all played sick in big games in the past. Where, I know we've obviously seen it from Smurf, in Overwatch League finals in the past, same with Lee J and Izayaki, but we've also seen sometimes above and down.
You want to talk about a big game player, someone who's just come away with the championship. Your boy Fearless.
Yeah, I mean, we know how good he can be in these types of games. Violet, like one of the best supports, most dominant players of all time. I feel like you just have a sick lineup of so much experience here on the side of the Outlaws.
What an interesting map. I mean, the Boston Uprising, no, they can't really skew the map pool against the Outlaws. Houston can really play whichever composition they'd like. We saw the rush from Houston look great. The dive was sublime. And Hollywood is an arena where both of those comps at times can shine. Boston are going to have to get this done off their own backs, their own skill, to match Houston Outlaws in the, I guess, the one-to-one with these dive compositions in Hollywood. It's going to be interesting, but that's not a map I want to play Houston on at all.
No, I mean, what? You can have Happy kind of sit on the high ground, right? No, use some of that as Ash and maybe even get some Widowmaker play. Fearless consistently going up there onto the Winston. It feels like both of these teams want to play the same comps. Maybe one's just a little bit different level.
Yeah, great start for the Outlaws here. They are looking a cut above for the time being. Let's see how that evolves through the rest of this series. Be wary, Pelican is hunting. And I guess some silver lining here for the Boston Uprising is Decay achieves his 10,000th elimination.
That's a lot.
Joining a short list of players there at the top. Been a fixture in the Overwatch League for quite some time. Been a real impact maker. He was on that map as well. It just wasn't enough to give the Boston Uprising a win to start the series.
Yeah, like pretty good map from Decay, but not a win. I mean, we were talking, like, I feel like these teams are, they kind of want to play the same things. They kind of want to play the same styles, but I just kind of like favor Houston to do it maybe a tad bit better.
Yeah,
like
you said like you're a little surprised, I guess, at maybe how close the desk thought this matchup would be. And I kind of feel that, right? Like these two teams with some differences, I think, like Smurf will sometimes go off script a little bit in terms of his tank selection. Boston are a team that, you know, will try and pick Shambali Monastery and play Bastion. But generally, in the rush or the dive, I don't feel like they're favored against the Outlaws.
yeah, so you got Twilight coming in here.
This guy, though.
Yeah.
You want a secret weapon? You want someone to tip the scales? Twilight's your man.
I'm always just like, he was like kind of like on the bench for the shock. like just like, wait, what? Like Twilight?
Yeah.
I mean, just an insane player on the support. So probably going to see like what, a lot of Vana here potentially?
Yep. I think that Hollywood is a great map for him to showcase his ability. It's very positional when you're defending in the second part of the map. And also you're often called upon to deal with like sometimes 1v3 scenarios where you're dived by Winston, Tracer, and Sombra. You know, we have seen Twilight absolutely manhandle opposing Winstons on many occasions, right? It's constant sleep darts, constant disruptions, these ridiculously long-range biotic grenades. I think of a clip that we saw on Hollywood Defense where he's playing point A, he like throws it into the choke, catches a player. The guy does it all. I think he's the best Ana player in the world, right? Like, he's going up against Shu here, so it's a tough argument to make. Piggy, what's good, fam? But again, I really do think that Twilight, a very special, sort of once-in-a-generation kind of player.
Smurf one on the back's cool as well. See, it's like Smurf on top of Winston with a Smurf.
I see that.
I was just pointing out, I know your eyes are pretty bad, so I was just making sure you see it.
Yeah, old age getting to me. The Outlaws, though, might be Gargamel here, man. I'm not going to lie. They are looking pretty hot coming out on Antarctic Peninsula, and Hollywood is, is a map where they are ecstatic to get to play on. It's gonna have a lot to do with like what impact these backlines can have over the course of this series.
Really, I think this is going to be more of like when we get to that second phase of the map, who can dislodge the other from the high ground, right? We see so many times that, you know, the team attacking not able to challenge up on the high ground, especially when you have there's somebody like Happy, right, who can play Hanzo, Ashe, Widow, whatever you wanted to have him play up there, right? And then like Pelican can just kind of like slot into like Sombra, Tracer, even Genji to access high ground, like around that. Like I feel like this is just a, you know, great setup for the Outlaws potentially.
It's hard to find a map or map type where you expect Boston to be clear winners on, but this is probably where they're looking to put their best foot forward for the whole series.
I would say so. Look, I think getting Twilight in, if you're going to play this, play him on Hana, right? I think he's tremendous, like you mentioned. And then Smurf is awesome on Winston. It's just you're going up against like an all-star team pretty much, right?
And this variation, obviously Pelican, one of the players that will play Echo on occasion.
I almost feel like it's incredibly odd, and this may just be me, and I'm weird, that somehow like Pelican became like underrated a little bit last year. Like he won Rookie of the Year, and then last year like kind of became like a little bit underrated, and now that you see him surrounded with like top tier talent, you're like, oh wait, Pelican's still really good, right?
Yeah, I mean, always think about Houston, right? They definitely had their fair share of struggles, I think. And his opportunities for skill expression maybe less plentiful.
Because when the Outlaws got him, like, traded, right? They were like, oh my God, like, Pelican's gonna, like, play for Houston. It's gonna be mental. And then, like, I don't know, maybe he got a little bit too hyped, and then now it's kind of, like, settled back into a good spot. Because I've always believed, like, in terms of, like, a player who can play multiple different DPS, right? It's not just that he's able to play all of them at a serviceable level. It's, like, game-taking over level.
I love the Hanzo here, Matt. The Outlaws are daring the Uprising to be very proactive on defense here. They have to do just that. They need to find Happy, they need to dive on him, and they need to eliminate him before he can do damage. So this forces you to stop playing like a passenger role. Like you cannot just watch these attackers come at you. You have to dictate the pace.
So Fearless ends up getting one. Pelican is still there with another. They're going to get healed up.
They're going to go.
Yeah, they realize they have an opportunity.
Birdering here. Again, just has to wait for the call. They hope to try. Oh, this is not good.
Not a great spot to be.
They caught Smurf. The Uprising are joined back together after losing a couple players. The Houston Outlaws are looking like maestros right now, really calling the shots here. Shu in an expected position, but is forced to give up the ghost there.
Yeah, they've done a nice job, Boston, being able to like get rid of Shu a few different times. Like they've been able to jump in, collapse on him, but they've lost a few other players in the process.
Look, they've been disruptive, but they're not stopping the Outlaws from executing their win condition, right? They really need to get in here and start to deal with these flankers. Decay over towards the point here, but they've lost Lee J gone already. Give Pelican an inch will take a country mile. And the Outlaws are now here to add some to the odometer.
Yeah, Smurf ends up trying to make his way towards a point. Rally popped by Violet. Whip shot to kind of like knock him up into the backside of the cafe. They weren't able to really get a great touch. This would be bad for Boston as well. I mean,
you're kidding. He just goes upstairs.
All right, that was
like,
a bit aggressive. That was a bit aggressive.
Throws everything, including the kitchen sink at Smurf, who does survive at the cost of the nano here. So
this is interesting. No team wants to play like long-range hit scan on the high ground. I think it's actually Boston doesn't really have an opportunity to like swap.
I think Houston know they bait Boston into being very aggressive on defense. I think Houston would actually like to dictate the pace a bit here and be the instigators. So playing like a long-range hit scan Hanzo or anything like that is going to say Boston come and get us. I think they want to be the ones to decide when to go here.
Yeah, and Birdering, yep, I was going to say, setting up for an EMP.
Traded.
Yeah, they do get rid of Fearless though. Like it's really difficult to kind of move this now without your tank.
Yeah, you can't dive on this. Like it's a little bit scary. Pulse bomb here for Decay. No connection. 3:23 to play right now. And the Outlaws just waiting on some reinforcements here. Twilight could be in trouble, but Pelican can't follow up on that hack at all. Twilight drops down to the hay cart here.
But they get them off of the high ground though.
So Smurf is just looking on. He can't really do too much there. He gives up too much position, but he maybe should have tried to peel there. Either way, he just allows this to happen.
Yes, it's going to be Lee Jae with the rally though. They're able to get rid of Shu. Fearless just kind of juggling him away with the Primal, but Pelican is just killing everybody on the other side of the map.
See how careful Fearless was being. He didn't want to juggle Lee Jae directly into Happy there because he could have just would have ended up being a trade at best. So he tried to keep the Brig in a corner. Got what he wanted though, and we're on the move here once more. Happy straight back to the bridge, and again the pressure on Smurf does not let up. He's able to drop down though. Doesn't need abilities for that. But the Outlaws have definitely staked their claim to this high ground.
Maybe you would want that EMP back. I think if you can get that kill on this Smurf, obviously it looks awesome, but a little bit risky. Maybe if Fearless was there like a split second earlier, they would have been able to secure that.
That's where maybe you can exploit some of the Outlaws.
Going for a ride.
He's done. Primal here for Smurf. Looking to take the high ground now. Circle back and pressure Violet down as this rally expires. Decay DK, though, again, following the Pelican, who in the background has been doing so much work here. You've got to commit the nano boost here to Lijagon.
Every time the fight like kicks off, like it seems like Pelican is just somewhere off on his own, just picking up kills. They kind of square away, get rid of Fearless there. So pretty good hold here from Boston thus far, right? They've gotten like about a minute 30 or so off of the clock. Now they kind of secure high ground yet again. Nothing really with the Outlaws to work with.
Pelicans 8-0 right now, just churning out these final blows. Again, it can be hard to convert them sometimes on this very expansive part of the map. Happy? Okay, I think you saw Birdwing's translocator throwing that way as well.
He's so low.
Yeah. Out of the fight for a while he is there. And to Pelican... Nice. So doesn't see Birdwing. Birdwing's going to be able to sneak into the back line here. We're very spread out now.
Boston has done a better job, though, of being able to get rid of Shu. He's done a really nice job putting pressure on the Outlaws' backline.
Talked about it, right? Like what these supports need to be able to fend for themselves to some degree, or at least deal with like really skewed odds in player number. These small engagements that are happening across the map.
Clock just dwindling here.
Down to a minute. Fearless can't advance past his bubble here. Oh, okay, Birdwing. Maybe a panicking MP there, but it's traded instantly into the Fearless kill, which you had to feel pretty good about. Neither Happy or Pelican have ultimates to work with right now. Fearless never had a chance to use that Primal Rage, which is definitely going to sting, and Violet needs to back up. Lijagon is really standing his ground here, but the Pulse Bomb stick from Pelican is big. Pelican is 9-0 right now.
Yeah, and they nanoed Violet to be able to kind of like play on the card a little bit, keep him alive. As you can keep the supports here alive here for the Outlaws, you're in a good spot.
The Primal here, the disruption from Fearless, he's trying to keep his backline alive. They can't get the Shu. Violet gets the rally in play now. Smurf thinks about Primal, but it's going to be a tough sell against the rally. No one's going to be low enough to pick off on your own there, so it's back to the card he goes. Happy, though, is waiting with an EMP. It's 5 players with lights out on the Uprising side, and yet they get Fearless yet again. The pressure on the main tank for the Outlaws has been hard to manage, but Pelican continues to do his work, weaving a thread through the backline of the Uprising, stitching them up, as they say. And Houston will be headed into the studios.
You would think Pelican is the one who could be invisible out of the 2 DPS.
11-0.
He is just in the backline with nobody checking him, running around. Like, whoever he wants to kill, it is a beeline and an easy target right now. They need to try and put a little bit more pressure on the Pelican, because there's no way you're going to be able to keep Twilight and Lijagon alive for very long. They got rid of his translocator.
Nicely done. Happy's having to sniff that out. Fearless, of course. It's elementary. Just dive on in the Sombra. There's nowhere to go. Another Bionade here on Fearless, but he can dance the bubble for a time. Decay again trying to stave off the Outlaws here, but they know there's a chance to make some decent progress around the corner. Huge poke damage as well, but Decay just has to get the heck out. Fearless is hacked in a safe place, so there'll be no follow-up here.
Yeah, but he controls that choke now, right? So how are you going to get in there?
Again, Pelican. He just rinses Lijagon with the help of Happy there. Great combo. Twilight, though, again.
Twilight with a sleep, though. That's nice.
Backliners that can fend for themselves. It's a big deal here, but the Outlaws are still able to make a lot of progress with that 1 kill.
No EMP just yet. 20 seconds on the clock, but you're going to have a rally here for the Outlaws. So you think you're going to be able to keep Fearless alive long enough to get Primal? Maybe Primal first, try and force out support ults on the other side.
It's about playing around the bio, I think, here. But a pulse bomb from Pelican. This is incredible. Bro, you talk about a team that can step up, Matt, when it really counts. These guys are coming alive on stage right now. The Boston Uprising are looking the complete opposite. Forced back into their spawn, they will be. Decay tagging up Fearless now as he tries to back away, but instantly Pelican is on the scene. Decay pressured to play around the corner right now, but a Pulse Bomb on Violet could be a way to stop the car from advancing. EMP, though. Smurf gets caught by it. Pelican's able to find a connection on Shu, though. There's no backliners left for the Houston Outlaws, but it may not matter. Pulse Bomb connection. Happy start to run wild a little bit here. Decay can stand his ground for a time at least. Pelican, he can't be followed. The 1v1, Decay getting pressured down, and Birdwing's going to have to return. Happy gets rid of the Tracer, but Pelican eventually falls. It's just the Sombra to try and get it done, and the Outlaws run out of steam.
So Boston clutch up there on D at the end. I mean, just to win on that clock. They prevented a extremely fast Outlaws time there in the second stage of the map. Able to hold that high ground, make it costly every single fight for the Outlaws to gain any type of progress of the payload. But what a first half from Pelican, man. I mean, just absolutely dominate.
Boston, though, playing to their win condition here, right? Doing a great job of pressuring Shu and Violet. You know, Smurf has to step up in a really tough matchup, but He's definitely someone you can rely on in moments like this. It's what we kind of thought they had it right. EMP came out from both players. You lose Violet and Shu to Decay, who just quietly does Decay things. Getting rid of both those healers mean the Outlaws don't have the staying power to finish the round.
So now we'll see the Outlaws on defense, where they'll actually play that Hanzo, it looks like. So maybe you kind of play the Hanzo up in the cafe, put down some damage, try and burst targets as they come in, and instead of really kind of playing for that aggressive dive, maybe play a little bit of a counter dive.
Decay found, he managed to double his final blows for the round in that last fight. He's been kept very quiet. He's been losing out in impact, at least. Tracer to Tracer. The Uprising here. Okay, what are we going to see here? I don't think Kiriko. Back to Ana for Twilight. So I like the defensive Hanzo here for a bunch of reasons. You can play a loose end a lot of the time. Good pressure on that Winston bubble especially.
So you're going to see Birdring play the Hanzo as well. So a little bit of a battle in terms of the long range here. But happy, I mean, look at this high ground you can have, right? Just kind of putting in shots, whether it's onto the tanks, whether it's onto the break, kind of coming through the choke, just a great angle.
So it becomes much more positional now, where both teams are going to be less willing to just give up ground and rotate. You've got to play around your Hanzo position as much as you can here. Okay. Another key kill on Ana. Shu is struggling to stay alive here. 7 deaths for Shu so far.
They've had a really tough time keeping them up.
Smurfy, great bubble placement. This is going to force the Outlaws off the point for the time being. They'll be able to come back in at probably 2.5 ticks. By that point, they're going to have to be picture perfect.
Pelican should be able to come get a touch here, but looks like it might be Fearless over the top. First one to get on it.
Yeah, and he doesn't take too much damage to do so. This is pretty big for the Outlaws. They're actually able to get in decent positions, but Decay wins the 1v1. Runs Pelican down while his attention was elsewhere. Shu gets the health pack, stays alive by a grenade on Smurf, and Smurf is in trouble. Eventually is brought down, but Decay does the deed. He's able to finish the job here and force a 3 versus 2. The Outlaws here are going to struggle to stay alive in this one, and it's all about Decay.
Dude, Boston has looked really good on this map thus far. And now they unlock the payload. They have a ton of time left to get it through this phase. They don't need like a full map completion, right? They need to get it close. But they have what feels like an eternity here to push through, like almost 5 minutes, and they can control the high ground.
Very quickly trying to establish that position, right? That's why Happy plays in a position that's kind of annoying to dive, especially if the attackers are trying to just secure this high ground and keep Smurf close enough to peel. Pelican, no final blows yet this half. Big sleep, Fearless not able to dance the bubble. That's Twilight for you. Steps straight on in and delivers. But Pelican has one of his own. FedEx to the face. It's a pulse bomb to Twilight.
This Lichigan has the rally going here, so I don't think you're really going to get much of anything out of that. So it's a little bit unfortunate there for Boston. Would have loved to have this for this next fight coming up.
Oh, there it is. Happy again. The fight is drawn out. The Uprising are milling around in this low ground. It's just prime territory for Happy to find a pick.
Here's also the thing with Hanzo. Sometimes you just need to fire down a choke and you'll hit something. This is a fantastic spot for Happy to be in, right? I mean, see Birdring gets to jump around the corner, challenge that angle.
It's awkward.
We talked about, I was mentioning like how much time and how good Boston's been so far, like 4 minutes 50. It can get down pretty quick if the other team's Hanzo is at range just, logging people.
Going to keep Shu standing here. See, Happy also is another element that you have to consider when diving a backline now. He has great vantage point. A Dragon Strike, theoretically just to throw a wedge, I guess, in between the halves of the Outlaws divers. They are sort of midway with Fearless into the backline, and they found Shu. What a pick from Birdring. Okay, first tick in the box here for the Uprising. Fearless can get primal, he does. He was put to sleep for a time, but this now could be an issue for Boston. It's the cat amongst the pigeons here. Lee Jae-gong seems to be first on the menu. Happy chimes in on the Hanzo for 2, and that's that for the Uprising in this fight.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have that rally at that moment there for the Boston Uprising as Fearless jumps down from the high ground, starts juggling. And now you have Shu coming back with your Nano. So now you're starting to get in a little bit of a groove here for the Outlaws, holding that high ground. This Birdring, Mitch, goes over to the Sombra here. So they don't want to play that Hanzo anymore, which, Birdring just got that pick to kick off that last fight. Really nice shot on the Hanzo.
Playing from the low ground feels awful, though. You saw, Birdring was having to double dash to avoid shots from Shu. He doesn't want to have to worry about Ana and the enemy Hanzo. Feels very hard for him to win out there. Maybe to try and disrupt Fearless a little bit more. He's forced the nano here for Lee Jae-gon. He's going to get out of dodge. Thanks for that.
I mean, they trade nanos, right? So Shu actually nanos Fearless in that situation as well.
I think Lee Jae-gon wants to fight. That's not going to happen. Smurf also won't get to touch grass or touch down there. And it's going to be happy. Lee Jae-gon trying to come off that high ground. And what a stick! Oh my goodness. Twilight dropped down. Fortunately, no teammates were affected by the blast. The Boston are getting slowed right down here.
Yeah, look at this. Fearless actually chasing. Knows that Bird Ring kind of went in that direction. Maybe just trying to find a translocator, pick him off. So he knows that everybody else for the Uprising are going to be coming off a spawn. So, which was, you know, they've dwindled off about 3 minutes off the clock at this point. You know, if you're the Uprising, this next EMP that comes available has to be good. You may get it with like a minute to go. And at that time, if you don't get something with it, you're in trouble.
Right, talk about forcing a fight with Dragon Strike. Happy really hoping to catch the Uprising. It doesn't work. So now the Outlaws need to regroup and maybe play cart. Pelicans had a really quiet half, man. Only 2 final blows. I think the verticality is causing him some problems. Yeah. The pulse bomb was key. But that's been about it for him so far. Off he go.
Look at how split the supports are, though.
The EMP timing, not bad, but look, the Uprising were already forced back, right? Their whole backline, they have no line of sight to the divers at all there.
Yes, I mean, that's a key ultimate here, right? With about a minute to go. That you're not going to have, you don't even really get high ground for it.
Happy, does he see Twilight? Yes. Drops back down here. Probably wants to get the high ground if he can. Smurf might get a nano here as Decay finding Pelican.
Decay is really heated up here in the second half. We talked about how good Pelican was in the first one, but Decay has won that battle here in the second half.
All right, and that is very defensive from Violet. Pops around to keep Shu alive, backs up with him behind the shield. And hey, he's not pretty, but it bloody works. The Outlaws still playing with fire for now. Shu, look at that health bar go up and down. Violet desperately trying to keep him in the fight, but Fearless is having to reciprocate. Both runners out of the picture now. We're down to 8 seconds in the round. Pelican jockeying back to the car, but Fearless can't get away. It's Happy chiming in with a miracle kill on the Tracer, but it's going to take more than that to get this job done. He wants to go back up, but who's going to contest the card? So far, it's just Pelican. He's forced to recall there, but he's healthy. Smurf's seen better days. There's a Dragon Strike to clear them off the card. Can they touch? They catch Smurf. The Winston can't get there. The Boston Uprising forced away. And the Outlaws take a second map.
And that is a rough one for Boston to lose because they played pretty good on defense and they started to get it rolling on offense. They capped checkpoint 8, like almost instantly. 4:37 plus on the clock to get through to that second checkpoint, and they get stopped.
Tell you what, when Pelican went off the boil, Happy stood up, ending with 13 final blows, 4 deaths. Pelican only 2 final blows in that half, but that's all that they needed. That's the beauty of this Houston Outlaws team. I mean, when one player is going off the boil, you have another one step up, and when they're both firing up, no one has a shot. That is scary stuff. And that may have been the Boston Uprising at their best in this series. Can they go further? Matt, they're going to have to.
Yeah, in where do you go map-wise now that you feel like that you may have an advantage, right? I'm trying to kind of think about like where you could possibly go. The only thing I was going to think
an escort map?
Yeah, I was actually going to say possibly a Rialto and force the Outlaws to put Gargoyle in to play Diva. Like maybe you can kind of feel there's some type of advantage there in that matchup.
That's very speculative, but hey.
But, so we're going to go Junkertown. So, obviously you can play like double sniper here at times. Still, you can play like, you know, Hanzo. I think you'll probably see just some more dive. But this allows like Happy to go on the Widowmaker. You can even see maybe some Genji play potentially. Like
maybe a Caligo substitution here? We've seen teams try and play like slow Sigma comps, but you can't do that against Houston. They will just pick Zenyatta.
Yeah.
They will just, you can't, like, I don't want to see Rush from Boston on this map. I don't want to see the Sigma. If they're going to win, they need to keep the pace up. I think that's their best weapon. Their opponent tends to be a little bit more adept with it, though. That's the problem. Junkertown is the 3rd map in this series. The Boston Uprising had better hope it ain't the last.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade up. Damn, instead you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade up. Damn, instead you gon' pay up.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade up. Damn, instead you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Turn it way up, turn it way up.
Crank that volume, turn it way up, way up.
Another day at the office for Fearless as he renews his claim to the title of best tank in the world. If you want to see this guy do it on a national level, you can cheer Fearless on as a tank representing South Korea in the Overwatch World Cup. Teams across the globe are competing to be the first Overwatch 2 World Cup champions. So tune in June 22nd through July 2nd to cheer on your team in the online qualifiers. Your top 16 teams will battle it out in an epic LAN this fall. OverwatchWorldCup.com is where the info is at, so go and check it out. And maybe you'll see me and Matt around there somewhere. No promises.
That's possible. That's
a good
possible.
chance.
I mean, I love World Cup. It's like one of the best times of year for Overwatch in general. As Boston, man, they got to get things going here real quick. It is not looked good thus far. Is a Yaki coming back in there for Twilight? I will say, the second half of that game, they really, I mean, it's really weird to say like they almost played like better than Houston, but then still lost the map. But they kind of were for an extended period of time.
I think they did a great job, like we sort of discussed, right, of executing the win condition and pressuring that backline. We're watching a lot of the time Boston execute these sort of dives. Decay suffers a lot. Pelican goes absolutely hog wild in the first half. And then Happy just switches to Hanzo, and all of a sudden, it really changes the dynamic of the game. You know, you have to find a way to pressure Happy. It's another reason for Boston to try and dive, but it takes their attention away from, you know, a lot of the rest of the threats on his Outlaws outfit. And so all of a sudden, Happy just turns out, it's like, I don't know, 7, 8 kills for the half. Some of them ridiculous picks, just dominating with that use of the high ground. I saw Birdwing switching off, right? He doesn't want to play Hanzo from the low ground. It's just not happening for him.
Yeah, you know, Izayaki coming back in here, it's interesting. We talked about maybe some Zen play from the Outlaws. Boston obviously could like match that look as well. You know, with Izayaki potentially playing the Zenyatta. We've seen that, I know, in the past.
Boston Uprising, hang off that lower bracket. Dude. Potentially here being at 0-2, and that's a scary place to be.
Very scary. I will say, you know, in the break, looking at that schedule, a Spark Rain and then an Infernal Outlaws are two bangers of matches, though. I mean, those would be some crazy games, man. I mean, those teams are gonna, those matches are gonna be close. What time is it here, West Coast, man? It's like 9:30. We're going late today.
Oh yeah,
here.
yeah. We're pulling a late one, everybody. So get your snacks ready. If you're on the West Coast, East Coast as well. Now I think of it, get your comfy pillows and strap yourselves in, because this one is far from done here. The Boston Uprising select Junkertown. That's a map they feel good on, and there's a decent reason for that.
Yeah, it's Boston 2-0 on the map, and the Outlaws have not won. Not a huge sample size, right? 2 games for either team. No context of like opponents here potentially as well. As we'll see, you know, as we start to get ready here for Junkertown, if Boston can extend this series.
So Houston 0-2 in Junkertown, which is interesting. I mean, that's not really taking into account their choice of opponent. We've seen them play Zen, seen them play Widowmaker on this map. Obviously, it's not a map that they're not really selecting, not really preferring to go there. I'm curious if they tone some of that down. Maybe just stick to their guns, play like a more solid kind of dive. Why do I have a memory of them playing against the Mayhem and just finding no success?
Yeah, you might be right. I feel like we casted.
Like Merit, yeah, like Merit was causing them a lot of problems on a Widow of his own. But hey, different stage, different opponent here. You know, I don't think you feel terrible about, you know, taking a Widow duel against Birdwing, for example, if that's where he's going to be. Obviously, a story to celebrate a hit-scan player in his own right, but you have all the tools on the Outlaw side here. You want to figure it out here. You make a huge statement to everybody else at the Midseason Madness by stepping into a map like Junkertown you haven't won on yet and putting in a dominant showing. That's what they're looking to do here.
Yeah. You start to really put your stake in the ground of, hey, we can challenge Atlanta for that #1 spot, right?
But what do you think from the Uprising? Like, what kind of composition should we expect? Because I don't see them playing anything slow and sort of playing into a potential like Zen counterpick. I imagine they'll really want to try and keep playing dive if they can.
Yeah, you would think so, right? I can't imagine them playing something like Sigma, right? Or, a little bit slower like Rush.
We have no Kaleo sub, so...
No, if you were there going to play Sigma, right? Or even like, you could have Kalios in to play Sigma, then like Diva if you want like a dive.
Did we get a Gargoyle sub?
No.
No. So that probably limits our expected tank heroes drastically.
Wind in Overwatch, I feel like.
I myself am here for it.
Yeah, just what do you play around it, right?
What about Tracer and a little-known hero called Sombra?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Can be good. There is large areas to traverse on Junkertown that sometimes Tracer obviously can't access those high ground. Isn't necessarily the best at.
What about Pelican Genji?
I was gonna say, do we see like a Genji Sombra type of look?
I'm here for it, everybody. Let's jump into Junkertown. It's map number 3 in the second of our upper quarterfinals.
I'm a little confused here from the Uprising. You have Izayaki map 1, and he plays the Ana. Maybe you wanted him to play like Kariko at times or something like that, possibly. Then you bring in Twilight to play Ana only map 2. And now you have Izayaki, and I probably would assume it's also because you want Kariko potentially as an option.
Definitely when verticality is a concern, or you're on the attack and you want to sort of team up with Decay or Birdring, for example.
Right.
So no Zen here for the Outlaws. It leaves them very susceptible to dive compositions, but they'll play something they're really comfortable with. Happy with the pressure on Smurf early here. Fearless not going to let him go. This could be dangerous here for Uprising. They've got to get Smurf out of here.
Yes, we'll see how long they stick with this Hanzo. The Hanzo can obviously just sit up here on the high ground, play from range as the cart makes a little bit of progress.
You tickle the card for Houston, right? Force the Uprising out into the sun.
Biotic grenade on both supports.
That's Shu for you. And a hack on that Mega. That's big. That's actually crucial here. So the Uprising can't use that room as a staging ground nearly as effectively anymore.
Nice bubble there from Fearless. Allows Violet to play inside of that.
What an interesting, a tiny little interaction that really shifts the balance of power in that sort of room here. Izayaki still going to play around it though, but Decay has fallen. Happy hacked on card, but breaks line of sight, jumps inside the bubble, and now you're trapped in a room with a hacked Mega. It's terrible for Boston.
And I know that the Outlaws are 0-2 on this, but if you're going to play the same comps you've kind of played the last few maps, like, they've been good on them, right?
Just
regardless
keep it
of the map. Yeah, I mean, I thought Boston was going to come here because maybe they had something different they were going to play, right? And not play the mirror.
Wait, what are you going to do?
A different map. Yeah,
this is your best style. Like, you're up against the Outlaws, right? Just got to...
Oh, that's a checkpoint, too.
Yep, they got that. No chance for the Uprising to contest
here
that.
would be brutal.
Smurf doesn't look like he's at risk of that right now. Was a nano committed to Fearless, probably just to get the point. So, Shu makes good on his investment in that sense. Now we talk about the Tracers and verticality here, right? A little bit hard for the attacking Tracer to find like a decent route to get a good stick. But you win one fight here, you like flank and get one good pulse bomb on a support. You have high ground access for the rest of this phase.
Who invited the amateur?
Nice use of the EMP there. No nano to jump onto Fearless to keep him alive. So it ends up working out really great too, because Violet, I was just going to say, pops the rally up in the high ground.
Violet hoping for a more protracted engagement apparently, but...
This is good for Bob.
Yeah. Keep the Outlaws inside this spawn area now. Use Winston Bubbles oppressively. Fire into the massive plays with your Sombra, build EMPs.
And Violet doesn't want to drop down. They don't want to give up that high ground completely. Needs to contest there a little bit.
So how do you follow this up? How do you follow Pelican up?
It's got to be Fearless, right? Fearless up on the high ground is...
Got to get through the blockade first, right? That's half the issue. No pulse connect there for Decay. I think his information a little outdated about where the Outlaws were playing for. Oh, okay, to sleep on Smurf. And there it is, the pulse bomb delivery. Talking about getting a Tracer stick on a support, and now you are off and rolling.
And they haven't had to use Pelican's EMP. You can actually save this EMP right before the payload's about to get to that next checkpoint. Pop it there as they all have to kind of funnel out.
Or you pop it as soon as Smurf touches down.
Yeah.
Kill him before he gets primal. Yeah, Pelican's just, that's why he's playing card here. He says, like, come and contest. I'm just going to pop EMP now. There it is. And no primal. Perfectly executed from Houston. Just play defensively there. You move the card forward. Sombra is revealed to everybody. She doesn't care about being hidden. Great way, getting a key pick now on that Winston. And Izayaki finds a sleep on Fearless, slows him down, running for Lee Jae-gon, keeps the backline topped up. Decay comes to the rescue, but he falls to Violet. The card's getting awfully close to the checkpoint here, and Happy is undetected as per usual. It's another checkpoint for the Outlaws, and it's textbook gameplay with the dive cop.
Yeah, as you're going to lose Izayaki. Here goes Smurf and the Outlaws have just looked on another level here today as the payload will continue to move 4 minutes to complete the map.
Scary stuff. Make no mistake. We now move at least into a phase where the Uprising are in an upswing in Ultimate Economy. It's Birdwing's EMP to play around here. He's spotted, forced out. Can the Outlaws create anything? No, they're just trying to solidify their presence on the high ground here for Fearless.
How do you stop the bleeding here?
They've got to stop the card first.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a good EMP from Birdwing and a follow-up as Birdwing gets so low and they find him.
Yeah, completely ruined there. I think Pelican must have found a hack. Izyaki's next on the menu here. Sleep. Yeah, gets the Winston. Izayaki makes an excellent decision in target priority there. You've really got to handle the guy. Under pressure, he knows how to hold his own.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge pick. Talking about maybe it's the EMP that they need. Is actually, wait, they nano Violet here to keep him alive through that pulse bomb.
They're doing this without Fearless, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do they want to continue to try and fight this?
There's no way Happy gets anything done here. There's both supports looking his way.
But the card's still moving throughout all of this.
EMP now. Okay, so the Uprising go for a staggered engagement here. So Fearless returns to a fight without healers. I like this.
Yeah, a little risky for the Outlaws to try and nano there and try and fight that. Maybe they thought they could bait some more ultimates out a little bit earlier.
They got Fearless in the end.
Yeah, that's huge. Really nice there from Boston.
Much better. Hello.
So that gives Houston time to build that EMP. Pelican can't just sit on cart and pop this now. The Outlaws, based on the topography of this part of the map, need to be the aggressors and the instigators. That's what Pelican's doing here. You see that flail extending in an unnatural way, as it often does. Spy checking for the Sombra because the Uprising are tracking a Pelican EMP.
Yeah, as they move up to the high ground, that's going to be a hack from Pelican.
No dive for Izayaki. He misses the sleep, though. And guess who's hanging around? Pelican's here for the fight. Now the dive comes in a little bit later. It looks like a whip shot to knock Fearless off course there. Love that work from Lee Jae-gon, but it's just not even close to enough here. There's waves upon waves of aggression here for the Houston Outlaws, and eventually they erode the Uprising's defenses. Lee Jae-gon down to the primal here, the stall from Smurf. Keeps the card at bay for now, but eventually, yeah, we're coming home to roost.
Yeah, he's going to have to use the primal to try and get back towards that payload. They're going to have double support coming out of the spawn, so Boston's actually probably okay here.
Okay, they reveal Birdwing there, I think, after Translocate, so they have an idea of where the Sombra's playing from right now. Nana here from Izayaki. Good defenses for the backline. Happy's Pulse Bomb likely gets shut down if it's on a brig. K versus Happy. Pseudo 1 versus 1. Happy has eyes, though, for some of these larger targets here.
The Outlaws are just trying to build nano here, I feel like.
Happy goes for the Pulse. It's no good. Shu at 85% and counting here. Happy doesn't want to fight Decay, but it has to keep him in check. Otherwise, the backline of the Outlaws gets laid bare.
Yeah,
it's going to be time for a Pulse here.
You're building nano, so you've already done that, so
you're going to have to take
anything though. I mean, yeah, Violet just gets deleted there.
They can't get staggered. This is what's scary, right? The Outlaws are too deep in this fight. I mean, there's no real safety here, so they have to stay grouped together if they can. If they get Smurf here, this is all bit worth it. Nah.
Yeah, nah. Have to back up now.
They lost over a minute in this last passage of play.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, they're building the farm up that nano because they really have nothing else in terms of options. And they just get ruined by a Birdwing EMP, and Izayaki and Lee Jae-gon don't have to invest those support ultimates. So, although it's looked pretty rough at times for Boston, still in another good spot to hold on deep.
You've got to kill this Ana. Izayaki's got to be first on the menu. Fearless again, just trading, just setting up. This is all positional here. Shu. Okay. Nano from Shu to whom? Unclear. Either way, that expired, I guess, after the fact. It's going to be Happy setting up. There is a rally in play. A pulse bomb stick. A difference maker to be sure. It's Izayaki down and Lee Jae gone soon to follow. The Outlaws bide their time. They're calculated in their risk-taking, and it pays dividends. Now Decay's forced to play from the outside looking in, and that card, oh yeah, she's getting home.
So they do complete the map in the end, but pretty good defense here towards the end from the Boston Uprising. Like, pretty smooth through checkpoint A, pretty smooth through checkpoint B for the Outlaws, but Boston played pretty strong there at the end. Let's see just what happens here on their offense. I don't expect the Outlaws to come out with anything like different, surprising. The only thing is, like we talked about, is like possibly the Zen kind of pick from Violet, but I would doubt it.
One thing I always find really interesting about elite level teams that play defensive dive is how they slow the game down. Or how they try and slow the game down. Because if you're Hangzhou, for example, you kind of just keep pushing. I mean, Esperanza is the kind of map where you can do that. But playing defense with a Winston comp can be quite risky. You overextend just a little bit and it all falls apart. Okay, so I don't mind this. Don't mind seeing the rush here. It's really very durable. There is a question of, like, your positioning has to be picture perfect against like a Sombra Tracer dive though, so let's keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, so they decide to actually play the Widow here. Happy gonna play at a distance here on the Widow, allow Fearless to kind of play on the cart, hold that for a little bit longer. It's gonna make it difficult for the dive, right? Because you have to go so deep to access Shu and Happy. So
there's normally when you have Ramattra compositions, your DPS support the Ramattra really heavily. It's like Reaper or Mei, Sombra to some degree to disrupt a little bit here. Fearless's role probably looks a little bit different, I guess, as you know, like your standard rush comp now with Happy on the Widow. Also, like for Happy, who's his target? Like, I'm not sure who he's looking for. He's going to get a lot of pressure from Sombra.
And maybe the idea is to just kind of like bait that Sombra in and try and go for Happy, right? We've seen so many teams it take forever to access that Widowmaker, access the Ana deep in the back, and they're never able to get that Ramattra off the cart.
Like, there's no one for Pelican to join up with on a dive expedition here, so he has to play very differently as well. Play close to the front line, throw in hacks like as a fight breaks down a little bit. Happy has to hope his mechanics here can really carry. Fearless can only just posture at the moment. Like, there's no following up in that Nemesis form. You can't catch them.
But you're okay, I think, though. Like, I think you're just trying to, like, burn as much time as possible.
There it is, the mechanics. They turn, oh, boy. You did it at land, Matt.
I mean, he's, if there's a hero that he's, like, known for, it would be, like, the Widowmaker, right? I mean, just, he's always been tremendous on Widow.
Up we go. Izayaki under threat. Happy puts him on notice. He has coverage of basically the entire map from where he is right now. Very cognizant of birdering. Now, does he see that? Okay, gets rid of the translocator. Birdering now needs to play a little bit more conservatively. He's caught by the Venom Mine as well.
But look at these 2 DPS for Boston. They're so preoccupied trying to get all the way around.
They're just dancing.
Like, yeah, and if it's like, what?
Bam. EMP, backline, Lee Jae God disintegrates, by the way. No shield to protect from Happy, who drills one straight into him. Nano here for Violet. And that's enough to stand up against a nanoed Winston. I mean, come on. Now the repair packs get flung into the back line.
But if Birdring and Decay... Oh, that's huge.
2? Wait a minute. There might be something here.
I was going to say, if Birdring and Decay can't get into the back line and get rid of Shu and Happy, there's no way you're going to be able to like win in this type of situation, but that double kill there might be huge.
The infraside timing with Birdring close to an EMP means he can't sneak this one of the Outlaws. They're going to know, they're going to see him coming straight away. Birdring is in the thick of things. Annihilation for Fearless. It's going to be a rally now for Violet as Lee Jae God has done the same. He's trying to keep his Izayaki alive, but he can't. The art is down. This is disastrous for the Uprising. EMP for 5. It's great connection, but where's the follow-up? Decay is there, but Birdring has fallen. Happy has to stand on the point and try and stay alive if he can, and falls to Decay. Now into the Primal here for Smurf to seal the deal. The Outlaws here trying to hang on. Decay eventually falls, but how do you keep Fearless alive? You don't, is the answer. Shu forced away, and the Uprising get the checkpoint.
So now you switch off of that Widowmaker here. If you're the Houston Outlaws, and get Happy on Tracer, and so you go to a mirror matchup. But man, that pulse bomb from Decay was huge. I was wondering, like, how are they going to break this high ground? It was not looking good, and Decay pops off.
And Happy stands still, because he knows if he moves, there's a risk of catching someone else here. So miscommunication, I mean, for Shu getting caught there, his Widow was stood still. I don't know what happened there. They're going to wish they had it back. Very disruptive there from Pelican. And you see the Outlaws quickly assert the high ground defensively here.
And it's nice here for the Outlaws to have Happy, obviously, who's tremendous on Widow, also play the Tracer, because you don't have to swap off. You can keep rolling this EMP that you had on the first one into the next point.
And again, Happy waits for Smurf to make the dive. Just sits there. Just like he did on the attacking side, close to that second checkpoint. Smurf gets caught out in the open, EMP'd and taken down.
So now you got the high ground. If you're the Outlaws, you just weren't bleeding the clock. A hold here before the second checkpoint would be great.
So it's like, how do you slow the pace down on this dive?
Yeah,
that's the question.
It would be great to hold here before the second checkpoint, but that's not the big game here for the Outlaws. If they can just hold before the end, right? Just drag this out into OT and give them basically no time, you're in a great spot.
Oh, that's a beautiful bio.
Big time.
Man, it wasn't even necessary, the stick. I happy could have got it done without it, but that is a big pick-off. Again, Smurf is the first to fall. Conservative for Fearless, right? Doesn't penetrate through his own bubble, sits back. Lets the bio expire.
Another bio.
There's another one. Lee gone with a rally. He could get taken down. That's risky play, but he stays alive, and now Fearless has to back up. He gets a nano, though, just to make sure that Winston stays alive, because that is the fulcrum of the defensive dive setup. Here we go. Nasty stuff. Violet leaps into the fray, and Izyaki's going to get caught out, too. They have lost Shoot.
They tried to make a double back up those staircase, and Violet actually just whip-shotted somebody back towards Fearless, then gets a whip shot close here onto Decay as he pops the rally to keep the payload where it is.
Violet's done it all as a support play. He's done it all. Now on the brig, giving a great account of himself. Superstar player here. Houston have him in every role, and it shows.
Fearless is primal.
Okay, defensive EMP. Pelican makes sure he doesn't fall there at the very least. So that's maybe to be expected at this point.
I like that, though, from Boston. You needed to get the cart moving. You're running out of time.
Shu has sleep, but he wants to make sure there's no bubble in play, so he just backs away instead. Happy returns to safety. The fact that Happy and Shu get away there is pretty big. Not for long, though.
It's Boston trying to control high ground here to kind of like prevent them from flooding it onto the cart. But it looks like Fearless gets out. Yeah, but he's got primal once he gets up.
Izzyaki still gets taken down, though. Happy is able to follow up here. The defensive dive is beautiful. Boston Uprising now looking for a pulse. It's Decay and Smurf taking down Pelican with that primal raise. You chase that one inside, but Birdring is down. Smurf's in trouble here. He's got to bubble up, but there's someone behind him as well. Take it down from both sides, and now Decay has to try and keep this alive. Shield back from Violet, pulls up short, but the dive is on. Decay's got a recall. They know he's going to head back to the card. He thought for a moment just to sneak it, but it's not to be. 2 meters left, and the Uprising have one more chance to get this done.
Yeah, and Smurf is going to go Doom so he can get back and get a touch here. But they're going to walk right into an EMP.
Double bio, good connection from Izzyaki under all this pressure, but Fearless is going to take him right to the spawn. Izyaki's out of the fight here, so what do the Outlaws do about it? Well, it's going to be a rally on the point and an EMP forcing Smurf back. The bio-nade was a problem for him already. Rally for Lee J gone to try and keep the dream alive here, but Violet's got one of his own. Charging forward with the shield, a bio-nade for 2 is beautiful for Shu. And that's going to force the Uprising away. They'll come back, but Smurf is low. Nano deployed to Violet. Now the raid boss starts to stretch his legs a little bit more. Decay knocked back, whip shots on point for Violet. He'll finish the job on Lee J gone. And the fatality on the Boston Uprising. A swift and decisive 3-0. The Houston Outlaws advance.
As the Outlaws look so clean. That was a map they have not won, right? You know, 0-2, not a huge sample size, but still, they not won there on Junkertown. A pretty good offense there, where they fully complete the map and then getting a hole before that second checkpoint. So they look really strong. I actually thought Boston, for all intents and purposes, played a pretty decent game. Like, you know, in the last series, there were some games where, you know, either team was kind of like blowing the other team out. I thought Boston was pretty competitive all throughout. It was just in those big moments, the Outlaws always came out on top. They always made the right play.
They looked about as good as you can, the Uprising, when put alongside a team that does a lot of what Boston already do, just a little bit better. Houston Outlaws, they play the dive comp to perfection in general, but they're still looking at the rest of the field here. The Atlanta Reign awaiting a rematch. Seoul Infernal, going to be a bit of a wild card for them. It's unclear about how much they've really been able to read into that kind of matchup. No easy games, no free wins for the Houston Outlaws, but it's great to start a tournament like this on a decisive note.
No, and I think that Infernal game is going to be sick. I mean, it seems like the Outlaws feel like they're on a little bit of a collision course with the Reign. But I would, if I was there, I would be warning them, do not look over this Infernal team. Like, they are extremely talented top to bottom. Where today, I actually think also would not be surprised if we see Boston make a little bit of like a lower bracket run.
Yes.
Would not be surprised if we see them, obviously down there with the Florida Mayhem at this moment, and then, the losers of our next two games. But would not be surprised if we see them make a little bit of a deeper run through the lower bracket this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Boston are the team that kind of make the weaker teams look really bad against them, right? They're very, very good at just sort of putting up these dominant showings here. But again, against the Outlaws, right, it's really the little things that make a big difference. When we saw Twilight come in, we saw moments of that, just glimpses of it. But, I think Hollywood's such a pivotal map, right? That is the Boston Uprising. That's their first choice. Pelican just runs away with it in that first half. He's our player of the match here, no surprise. He and Happy together are forced to be reckoned with, no doubt about it.
I think it's just the ability for him to just jump on really kind of whatever they need at that moment and just dominate a game, right? I mean, he was so strong on the Tracer throughout, right? The Sombra there at the end was fantastic from Pelican. And we know he has so many other heroes in his toolkit that he doesn't really have to play at the moment.
We discussed a little bit, like, what should we expect going into Junkertown? We saw Houston try something a little bit different, but let's roll it all the way back here. Pelican on the Sombra, Happy on the Tracer. That role gets switched up a whole bunch here, but I mean, straight away, we were thinking, wait, we get mirror comps from these teams. We just get Houston being able to play their dive. Like, it's going to be very, very difficult. That turnaround, of course, we saw him play May in that second round, then on towards Hollywood here. He and Happy combining, man, they've got all the roles covered.
I think Boston probably played good enough to potentially win Hollywood. I actually thought that they started to put together a pretty good game there on Hollywood towards the end, right? Decay, I thought, started to play really well. But man, that map won, and then here towards the end, it was all Outlaws.
Well, he really understands the win condition, right? It's very straightforward, but he waits for Smurf to dive in. He knows that the Uprising, especially when they're on their back foot, they have to try and assert themselves. They have to be proactive when it comes to enacting that dive. So in many cases, both on attack and on defense, Pelican, when his team have the momentum, just stand still. Says, all right, I'm going to wait for the Winston to dive in, nuke him instantly. It's really easy shot calling, right? You just wait for the Winston to come as the initiator, and you can sort of end the fight there. Impressive matchup. And look, I mean, we're talking about a team that features Birdring and Decay. Yes. They look wholeheartedly second best against this super team. The Houston Outlaws are looking to go far.
The Outlaws have done that to a lot of teams. Really, everybody but the Atlanta Reign. So it's, what do you kind of do there if you're Boston? I think Boston played them really tough all throughout. Just not good enough to get a win. But I think when you kind of look like, maybe some of the lower bracket games, like, if you had Boston versus Florida right now, I'd probably favor Boston in that type of matchup. Let's say, the Hangzhou Spark dropped down, right? And they want to play that same, like, divey style. I can definitely say the Boston Uprising potentially even favored in that one. Like, I still think Boston could have a pretty good run here this weekend.
Much more of this story to be told so far, but the most recent chapter in the rivalry of the Outlaws against the Uprising looks like that one. Pretty clean sweep for Houston. Looking confident, but a lot of question marks about their upcoming matchups. So stick around to see how that plays out. We're going to hear from our desk and have them break it down. Rounded though, but Decay is Happy hacked on card, but breaks line of sight, jumps inside the bubble, and now you're trapped in a room with a hacked Mega. It's terrible for Boston.
And I know that the Outlaws are 0-2 on this, but
Fearless slows him down, running for Lee J-God, keeps the backline topped up. Decay comes to the rescue, but he falls to Violet. The card's getting off, and it goes to the checkpoint.
welcome back to Watch Point. Houston Outlaws are taking this one 3-0 against Boston Uprising. And this desk certainly was looking for a closer scoreline. So let's ask our experts, why and how did Houston Outlaws run away with the series?
For me, this is actually all about the Tracer. I think we saw decent performances from both teams, but Outlaws, I mean, across the board, they're stronger. If there was one place where you would have thought Outlaws would have been, maybe on the back foot, you would have thought coming into this, I think, that it might have been Tracer, but not so. Pelican just gapped this series. I mean, he was better than Decay, lights out, so many full spawn kills, so many individual dominations. I mean, Hollywood, he was on a deathless streak almost till the end of the map. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think this was a really smart pick to kick us off. Of course, Houston Outlaws with the upper seed, they picked Undogged Peninsula and they forced Boston Uprising to play these brawl compositions. Going over to Hollywood, this was the real, impressive map from the Houston Outlaws, in my opinion, because Boston Uprising, they are so good at Hollywood. I cannot understate how good they are at Hollywood. So Houston Outlaws being able to take down the Boston Uprising on the Boston Uprising's favorite map, that is a massive achievement from the Houston Outlaws, and then beating their demons at Junkertown. Of course, as we said, small sample size, but they were 0-2 on Junkertown. Being able to take down Boston Uprising in a clean 3-0, playing dive against Boston Uprising, this is a really good match for the Houston Outlaws that could, find some momentum for the rest of the tournament, honestly.
Yeah, not a player on this team who I think didn't come out to play here on LAN. A team of all animals. That's exactly what you want to find
Lanimals.
out. That's exactly what you want to find out, right? Because some players, it's not the case. I mean, they might play okay on LAN. Maybe they don't completely choke, but you want players who go above and beyond on LAN, and I think that's what we've seen from the Outlaws here. Happy on his signature Widow here. Glad we got to see this come out. I mean, it's a terrifying pick.
And I actually want to take a look at the stats here, Danny. The Tracer stats. I mean, what are we seeing here?
I mean, I think this was it goes back to what Jake was saying, that Pelican was, it was far beyond that. He was just too good on the Tracer. I mean, compared to Decay, Decay put up a little bit of fight, but
it could have been worse.
It could have been worse, yeah. This is the stats that we're seeing, and just Pelican was just like Jake said, he was just on one today. He made so many crucial team fights. He made those fights, and being able to turn around those fights into a win for the Houston Outlaws. I think Pelican definitely deserved the player of the match for this match.
Absolutely. And as we just watched the highlights, we did talk about, or we rather mentioned, that the dive from Houston Outlaws looked so very clean. So, Johnny, you have an example to tell us straight.
We're going to do a lot of walking. This week, we're going to do a lot of walking, all right?
How's your knee doing?
How's your knee doing?
I do want to show an example of just how clinical this dive is from the Houston Outlaws. So, where are we? We're 20 seconds left here on Junkertown. That's an arrow. Sorry about that. But you get the point. 20 seconds left here on the time for Junkertown for Houston Outlaws to cap it out. And I mean, they're playing dive, so they want to go for the backline. The problem being, there's 2 support ultimates up for the Boston Uprising. That's pretty hard to deal with. You got a nano brig, and then you're scared you got to back off. But we'll see some amazing dive coming out from Houston Outlaws. So as we roll this forward, we'll see that an opening actually finds himself right here. We can slow this down. Pelican contesting Isayaki. Pause. The sleep dart is going to... Okay, roll it forward a little bit. Sorry, I was premature. Just a little bit. Roll it forward. Just a little bit. Pause. Right here. Sleep dart on cooldown. 13-second window for the Houston Outlaws to dive the backline of Boston Uprising. We can play this out. Now, the Houston Outlaws are immediately going to go on aggression right here. And we're going to see that Fearless on the Winston jumps in and pause. Bam. Well, sorry. Okay, go back. Yes! Yes, we're doing it! We're doing it! Fearless drops a bubble onto the backline, and Isayaki is going to be booped off here. So now, even though you have 2 support ultimates for the Boston Uprising, Lee J gone, he actually has to drop down here to help Isayaki in the first place. Now, as we roll this one through, we're going to jump over to Happy on the Tracer. We're going to slow it down as the dives come through and pause. And go back a little bit. Promise. I just go back a little bit right here. You see how split they are. The rally comes out from Lee Gon, but Isayaki, he is peeling back. And this lack of communication, because Fearless booped Isayaki off, is going to cause some confusion between the 2 supports, and they can't help each other out. We can play this one out. No more pauses, I promise. Sorry, production. And we're going to see this pulse bomb come in. Clutch onto Isayaki. Bam, Isayaki is dead. Lee Gon is going to fall as well. And this is the window where Houston Outlaws capitalize, and they cap off Junkertown. Really impressive time. They find the window where the sleep dart is down, opens up for Fearless to dive in, and the rest of the team is going to capitalize, and you wrap up Junkertown with a 3rd point cap. There you go.
I was
There we go.
enthralled.
Loved it.
Thank you,
yeah.
Danny.
No, beautiful, beautiful stuff from Jonathan and the Houston Outlaws.
And replay producer Neil, thank you.
And Neil, thanks.
Teamwork.
You're the real homie. Yeah, teamwork makes a dream work, and it certainly worked out for the Houston Outlaws. Looking clean, looking cohesive, looking like they're on the same page. So I'm super, super excited to see them progressing in this tournament. We do have a winner interview as well standing by. So happy, Danny? Danny, happy?
Happy Danny? I am. I'm a happy Danny if I'm talking with Happy from Houston Outlaws. We got Happy for the post-match interview for this one. Happy, can you hear me? Happy 선수, 들리시나요?
네, 들립니다.
Alright.
안녕하세요.
Hey, big congratulations on getting the win. Now, before we jump into talking about this match against Boston, I want to ask you, this was our first time seeing you guys on stage playing in front of a crowd and also playing in front of Korea. So, how was that like? 일단 오늘 보스턴전 얘기를 하기 전에 이 어떻게 보면 팬들 앞에서 거기다가 또 이제 한국에서 경기라는 게 처음이기 때문에 좀 어떠셨나요? 소감 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
일단 저의 고향에서 하는 거기도 하고 제가 몇 년 만에 진짜 오프라인 무대에 서는데 팬분들 함성 소리도 다 들리고 너무 재밌었어요.
I definitely had a lot of fun. It was it felt great to be able to play in my hometown, and also it's been years since I played in front of a huge crowd and in front of fans. So getting all those cheers and people rooting for me, it really felt great. All right, and I think it really just all those energy translated into your win today. Your win against Boston Uprising, it was a very quick one, 3-0. A lot of people I think expected this to be a lot closer. What do you think gave Houston Outlaws the edge today against Boston Uprising? 자, 오늘 경기에 대해서 그럼 좀 얘기를 해보고 싶습니다. 일단 많은 분들이 오늘 경기 좀 접전이지 않을까, 굉장히 좀 3대2까지 가지 않을까라는 좀 예상이 많았는데 그거를 다 깨고 휴스턴이 너무나도 쉽게 3대0으로 승리를 하셨는데요. 오늘 경기를 위해서 좀 어떻게 준비를 하셨나요?
딱히 특별하게 준비한 건 없고요. 애초에 저희 목표가 일단 보스턴하고 임페르날은 쉽게 이기고 바로 결승으로 갈 생각을 하고 있어가지고 그냥 뭐 하던 대로 해서 이겼던 것 같은데요.
Right. There's nothing really special. I think our main goal in this Midseason Madness tournament was definitely beat Boston and Inferno, make it quick, and then go straight up to the finals. So I think there wasn't really much preparation went in. I do want to follow up a little bit because, you guys didn't have to play the knockout stage, so you guys had a lot of time to prepare. So was there something that the Houston Outlaws sort of focused on improving going into the Midseason Madness? 자, 그럼 방금 말씀하셨다시피 되게 빠른 경기 좀 보여주셨는데 아무래도 넉아웃전을 안 하셔도 되셔서 좀 더 준비 기간이 길었잖아요, 휴스턴 아웃러즈가. 그 준비 기간 동안 좀 어떤 준비를 하셨나요? 그럼 미드 시즌 토너먼트를 위해서.
일단은 저희가 팀합적으로 좀 안 맞는 게 점점 후반으로 갈수록 조금 더 많아졌던 것 같아요. 그래가지고 이제 팀합을 맞추려고 제일 많이 노력을 한 것 같고요. 오늘 보여드린 라마트라 조합이나 좀 신선한 조합들, 그런 조합도 많이 준비했습니다.
Definitely the teamwork, I think, was something that we really focused on during our break. I think as we moved later on to all of the matches that we played, we saw there was a lot of kinks that we had to iron out. So teamwork was one of the priorities that we focused on. Not only that, the Ram rush that you guys saw was something that we put in a lot of work in, and also there's a lot of different new compositions that we have up our sleeves. So those are the things that we actually worked on. All right, Happy. That is it for the interview. Thank you so much for your time. And again, you guys are playing the Seoul Inferno next, so good luck on that match. 자, 다음 경기 화이팅 하시길 바라면서 보내드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Happy.
Happy
thank
as
you,
God.
Danny. He really is, actually. Praise. Well, Houston Outlaws, they do have everything it takes to go really, really deep into this tournament. But so, of course, will be other teams we will be seeing today. For now, though, I do want to remember that one of those teams is actually stacking 3 players for Team South Korea in the upcoming Overwatch World Cup.
Heyo.
That's right. Here is my friendly reminder to everyone that the Overwatch World Cup champions will be crowned very soon in June 22nd through July 2nd. There we go. June, July.
22nd.
There's a lot of numbers, lots of twos in there. Yeah, but we will be crowning our Overwatch 2 World Cup champions soon. But first, you have to cheer on for your team in the online qualifiers from June 22nd to July the 2nd. There we go. Now we got it.
Anybody
Top
could win.
16
They
teams.
could all play against South Korea and.
They could all, but maybe not.
Hey,
But the
Team
top
USA is gonna do
16
great, right?
We'll be battling it out.
Team USA?
An epic line
Iceland?
Yeah, why not? Honestly, everything is possible in the world of Overwatch. If you want more information on the Overwatch World Cup, head on over to overwatchworldcup.com for everything you need to know, and then some. Now, we do want to talk about this next match. Atlanta Reign will be facing off against the Spark. And I mean, the Spark, they kick things off with an absolute bang, taking a convincing victory on the back of their really, really clean-looking dive against the Florida Mayhem, which didn't really find an answer to what the Spark were playing, despite very much knowing what the Spark are going to play. So let's see if they can have a repeat performance, or if the Atlanta Reign are just going to stop them in their tracks right there. What was the most impressive thing you saw in their first match today?
I mean, honestly, it's this guy right here, Leave on the Tracer. Absolutely monstrous in this first match. I mean, he was leagues above. Even though I think Checkmate played lights out. I think Checkmate had like the game of his life on Blizzard World. He was going crazy. But Leave was just so consistently delivering throughout the whole series. Everybody looked great on the Hangzhou Spark. But what I'm worried about is they're facing a very different opponent, somebody who nobody in the West could beat, including the Florida Mayhem, a team that is leagues above as their next opponent. So can they manage the same against Atlanta Reign? I think it's going to be a much tougher test. Many have tried to take down Chio and Fielder. Many have died trying. So I kind of expect that's the way this match is going to go. I think this is going to be a much harder one because Atlanta has that rush on the same level as Florida Mayhem, but they also have the dive on a much higher level. I think it's going to be a different beast of an opponent here.
Yeah, let's actually compare some stats here. Looking at Lip, we know what he can do on that Sombra. How will Shy stack up against him?
I mean, so here's the thing. If you're tuning into the Overwatch League now, Lip is the best player in the world right now. And Sombra is his signature hero. So when you look at these stats, Lip essentially sets like the roof, the ceiling of what you're capable of on Sombra, and Shy just kind of like has to live up to that standard. So you can see all the stats: 8,000 hero damage, 6.1 final blows compared to Shy's 5.1 per 10 minutes. I mean, Lip is an absolute beast, and if Shy can hang with Lip, that is going to be all you can ask for from Shy, really.
And the challenge is going to be the supports. I think, I think Chio and Fielder have looked like the most difficult backline to dive and punish. And for Sombra, that's your test. Like, can you hit those good EMPs? Can you catch them out with hacks? Because it has to be more than just winning on ult tempo, right? You have to find those little opportunities to break the field open, and that's what makes Lip such a different type of player on the Sombra. It's obviously he can EMP well, but it's when he doesn't have the EMP, he doesn't have all the follow-up in the world. He makes it work with incredible mechanics and near-perfect game sense. He just has such a read on, like I've seen it time and time again, the enemy Sombra's waiting on his TP, and Lip just breaks it. He's like, he just had a feeling that it's been a little bit too long. I think I'm just gonna change position on it. And his ability to just intuit that without any real information like being given to him. He doesn't actually know for sure that's what's gonna happen, but he has an uncanny ability to predict it.
Well, that's a game sense you need if you want to be on the top.
If you want to be best in the
world.
It's
the only way. You can be as a wizard.
Yeah, that is one possibility. Let's actually hear it from Lip and his squad, and let's see what they have to say about their team and the Midseason Madness.
저희는 미드시즌 매드니스 예선전의 무패 유일팀인 애틀란타 레인입니다. 아마 저희 팀이 유일하게 국가대표가 3명이라서 좀 성적이 많이 좋았던 것 같습니다.
Going into this, we're undefeated, so we're feeling pretty confident, and just need to play our game and keep doing what we've been doing, and we will be fine.
이제 저희가 미국 생활을 많이 안 해본 사람들도 있어서 다들 많이 어색해하는 경우도 있는데 게이터가 저희들 데리고 맛있는 음식점도 많이 데려가고 이제 또 가끔씩 저희가 스크림하는 날 피곤해하면은 막 소리 지르면서 에너지도 주고 선수들도 잘하고 있지만 게이터 감독님 덕도 있다고 충분히 생각합니다. 이번에 리베팅 될 때 꼭 한국인 선수들이랑 같이 많이 하고 싶다고 얘기했어서 게이터가 엄청 좋은 선수들로 영입해줘서 엄청 좋고 그 기반으로 이렇게 탄탄대로를 밟을 수 있는 저희 팀이 너무 자랑스럽네요.
서울 다이너스티에 있을 때는 주전 경쟁이 약간 그게 좀 있었는데 제가 주전 보장을 받았으니까 이렇게 잘해질 수 있다고 생각하고 그 덕에 저희 팀이 이 정도 성적을 낼 수 있던 것 같습니다.
두 명 다 뭔가 제가 상대했을 때 많이 좀 까다로운 선수였어가지고 그냥 이런 선수를 저거로 줄 바에 그냥 악어를 만드는 게 낫겠다 하면서 들어왔던 것 같습니다.
옆에 든든한 형님들이 있어서 좋은 것 같습니다.
형들이 잘해주나요?
형들이요?
얘기해봐.
그냥 잘 챙겨주는 것 같습니다.
아마 다른 팀들이 저희 팀을 생각하는 거는 딜러 힐러가 너무 강하다라고 생각할 것 같아요.
I definitely think other teams think of us pretty highly, and they're going to try to play some things to throw us off guard.
벽이라고 느낄 것 같은데요. 영웅폭을 따라와도 이제 그 영웅폭에 관한 실력이 따라올 수 있는지 저희만큼. 다른 팀에서는 막 퍼포먼스가 좋았던 선수들은 딱히 많이 없는 것 같아가지고 일부분은 있을 수도 있겠지만 그래서 저는 그걸로 이제 벽이라고 생각해요.
지금 메타에서는 저희 팀을 이길 팀은 없다고 생각해요.
작년 급파 때 우승했을 때 엄청 좋긴 했는데 그때 좀 외국인 분들이 많았어가지고 근데 이번에는 대우온이 한국인 팬 분들이니까 한국인 분들 앞에서 우승해서 좋은 모습 많이 보여드리고 싶네요.
지금 전승 기세를 이어서 미드 시즌뿐만 아니라 이제 남은 정규 시즌이랑 급파까지 다 우승하겠습니다.
No one clapped.
Gio tried. Gio tried.
He tried his best.
Yeah, emotional cheerleader. The rest is not having any of that. That's some serious business they're attending to. Not just Midseason Madness. Like that's.
These guys are ice cold killers. They don't care. They don't care about these interviews. They don't care about one thing.
Yeah.
Winning. And that's what they do.
Yeah.
Clinical.
Absolutely. And I mean, the opposition should be scared. And even though Hawk said, they're going to try to like throw stuff at us, well, we have good news. You're going up against the Spark. Pretty sure they're going to be playing dive against you.